Welcome back to Down to the Wire. I'm your host, Broden Kreitler. Whether you're a diehard sports fan or love the thrill of competition, we've got the latest highlights, breakdowns, and stories that keep sports fans on the edge of their seats. Let's jump into this week's episode. All right, welcome to today's episode. I'm your host, Broden Kreitler, and today I have Dr. Boyd here with me today. And I have some questions for your departure from principal, the high school principal, and your new role as the assistant superintendent. So let's jump right into it here with the first question. What's your biggest accomplishments as St. Genevieve's high school principal?
I think a couple of pieces that come to mind with that. One is just the focus on creating some unforgettable experiences for staff, students in our educational community. And I think that that's been a big part of one of the goals coming in is just continuing to look at the traditions that we have and continuing to not only take those, but also try to figure out ways that we can elevate those to really celebrate our kids, celebrate the great work of our faculty and staff, and really just continue to elevate Ste. Genevieve High School. I know how much it meant to me coming through as a student and getting an opportunity to come back and lead the building and really be able to achieve some really, really neat moments, I feel like is something that I will always hold on to and will always remember throughout my career. So I'm really proud of that piece. I would say if I had to pinpoint one specific thing, I would definitely say the creation of our Dragons with Distinction ceremony that we host the night before graduation. I really feel like that's such a cool moment and opportunity to celebrate our students that are graduating with honors, but then to also flip the script and be able to recognize the people that helped them get to that point in their educational career and be able to celebrate and highlight one of our educators that works within our district. And so to see the varied individuals that get represented there, that get invited there to present the honors medals. We've had a cook, we've had a custodian, we've had numerous teachers, administrative assistants. And so it's just really neat to see the gambit and how that runs a lot of different individuals that really help to get that student to a place that they're going to be successful, not only here, but also setting them up for success beyond high school as well.
So it's not just about, graduation ain't always just about the seniors. We like to include the people that got them there to it being graduated. So
and I feel like one of the other, we've also been able to do that with graduation a little bit. And I know when I first came here, we had 20 to 25 faculty and staff members walking at graduation. And last year was the first year that we were over 100. And this year, the number of faculty and staff that have committed to coming and participating in your graduation is over 115 faculty and staff members. And so it's really neat to see that number continue to grow as we continue to celebrate the great work of each of those graduating classes. And so I feel like that it goes well beyond just the student. It's now just a celebration of our entire educational community. And so I'm really proud of just what our faculty and staff has done, what our students they've just believed in what we do. And I feel like that's a huge part of it being successful.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's great to hear. Who will be filling your role as the new high school principal?
So the district hired Dr. Allie Klein to come in and replace me as high school principal. And so Dr. Klein is a 2009 graduate from the high school. She's been here, and like I said, she graduated from here. She's had quite the educational opportunity. She spent some time teaching, and then was an assistant principal, and actually currently right now is an assistant principal at North County High School. And so this is her opportunity to come back to our school and our community. She's got a wealth of knowledge, and she's an innovator, so she's going to continue to look at ways to continue to elevate what we're doing here and continue to figure out new ways to continue to just tweak and add her little spin and add those little improvements just to continue to allow the high school to continue to flourish and grow.
Oh, she sounds like a perfect fit. And Banks told me you guys went to school together, right, at St. Gen?
Yeah, so she was a freshman when I was a senior in high school.
So I'm pretty sure that's pretty reassuring for you, just knowing someone, filling this spot. So that must be great for you to hear.
Yeah, when you know someone that long, when you go to high school with them, their tendencies, their idiosyncrasies and how they do things, how they handle things. Yeah. And like you said, I feel like that there's some reassurance there, knowing knowing how she was, 15 years ago means that obviously she's had growth to get to the point where she's at now, but I also know the true person that is there. And so I'm really excited about that for her and really for the high school and the growth opportunity that will continue to be here for SGHS.
Yeah, I'm excited for it too. I think everybody's kind of excited. We are kind of, a lot of people are sad about, you leaving, but you'll still be around, but it's just something, new and exciting. So, what made you decide to departure from the principal position?
I think a lot of times it's timing and opportunity. And so looking at this moment and this time, it really made sense for me, for my family. I feel like for our school community. And, a lot of times you have to look at those moments and figure out, what does the next step look like, and what does the next role look like, and if not me, then who? And and so I really reflected on that a lot as the job posted and the job opened up. It's like, is this really the right fit for me? Is this really the right time to do it? And so you do a lot of soul searching and figuring out, is this really the right move? There are big elements of me that's sad because I really feel like we've done some amazing things in the high school, but there are also a lot of pieces for me that I'm really excited, because I'm excited about the opportunity to be able to take some of these new innovative things that we've done just in our building and be able to figure out ways that we can expand some of those things for the district as a whole. And so that reach for me was huge. Right now I get an opportunity to work with 550 students every single day and a faculty and staff of about 65, 70 faculty and staff. And that number is going to be 1,800 students and, a faculty and staff that's triple that size, maybe even a little more than triple that size. And so that piece for me, being able to create some of those unforgettable moments and experiences in the future for the district as a whole, is something that really excites me.
Yeah. I mean, that sounds awesome. Definitely, like you said, a struggle just seeing if it's for you. And, you definitely seemed like you took some time and saw that's for you, and you took the job. So that's great to hear. And how long have you been the principal for?
So this is my 5th year as high school principal. I was the assistant principal for 3 years. So this is my 8th year in administration within the building.
Yeah. So you got some good experience on you. And what would you say you're most excited about your new role?
I think a lot of what I really shared is just the opportunity to be able to work with individuals throughout the district and to be able to see education through the lens of pre-K all the way to a senior in high school. And, right now I walk into a classroom and I see quality education happening within the high school, but I see it through that lens of a 14, 15, 18-year-old kid. And, when you start to take a look at what the educational opportunities look like from our kids that are all the way over in the early childhood center and through the elementary, I'm excited to see that because it's new. And I feel like, yes, there are going to be challenges with that because I'm learning education from a completely different lens, but I'm also really excited to see what education looks like at those levels. And just the eagerness and the excitement that a young child walks into the classroom and they're excited to learn and excited to pick up on those new things. And when you see that light bulb flip on, you're like, I'm just excited to be able to walk that walk with our teachers and to be able to see that student growth. Personally, outside of here, my son's going to be in kindergarten next year. My daughter's going to be over at the ECC. And so I've been able to see that through their lens and that educational growth. And so now I'm excited to be able to see that from a district perspective and kind of what that looks like.
Yeah. So this is a great opportunity for you, not just to only help high school, but, the whole part of our district really, which, it's going to be great for our district, because you are an awesome principal and I'm sure you're going to be an even better assistant superintendent. What's something you'll miss about being the principal?
The kids and the faculty and staff. I think I've been able to build such good relationships with our students and faculty and staff. And not that that's going to change, because at the very beginning, like you said, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be here, but it will look very different because right now I have those daily one-on-one interactions and I'm going to have to be much more intentional with putting myself in a situation where I can continue to build those quality relationships both with kids and faculty and staff, and not just become disconnected, out of the building. The further you're removed from those situations, the harder it is. One of my goals is to spend time in buildings across the district, so that way I have a really good pulse on what's happening, what's going on, and that way I also feel like I'm in touch. I don't want to lose touch as we get in and we have to make decisions, and sometimes those decisions are easy and sometimes those decisions are hard. But I want those kids at the front of my mind when I'm getting in and making either those easy or those hard decisions, because I want to make sure that we're doing what's in the best interest to serve our students across the district as a whole.
What would you say is the biggest lesson you've learned about leading a high school?
I'm going to share two pieces with you because I think there are two things that really stand out to me. One of them is don't be complacent. And I think oftentimes it's really easy in education to get in a groove and to just stay in that groove and not take opportunities to continue to innovate, continue to grow, continue to look at new ways to be able to do things. And part of our motto is tradition.
Yeah.
And a lot of times tradition is associated with this is the way that we've always done things and this is the way that we're going to continue to do things. And I agree with that to a certain extent, but there's also times when you can innovate those traditions to elevate them and make them even better. And so one of the things that I've always been fearful in education is being complacent and just doing things for the sake of we've always done it that way. And that if it doesn't serve students the best, or if it doesn't meet kids where they're at, or it doesn't meet educationally where our faculty and staff is at, why are we doing that? Just for the sake of that's the way that we've always done it. And so I'm a huge believer in not being complacent and looking for other ways to do things and thinking outside the box, because that's the future of education. Like we've got to continue to look at that so we can continue to elevate opportunities for students. So I would say that's a huge part of it. The second part of it is to just simply at times take the moment to slow down and really reflect on what's happening and what's going on, and use that as an opportunity to be able to get in and make decisions. I know my first year as assistant principal, I'm a very type A personality. So I like when something comes to me, I like to solve the problem and I like to move on to the next thing. And I realized early on in my career that I had to keep myself in check with that piece, because there were times when you can definitely do that. You can make a decision and you can move on to the next thing. But there are also times in your career where you have a situation where it's like, I need to sit on this for a little bit. And as a type A personality, that's tough, because I want to clear my plate so that way I'm free to be able to move on to the next thing. And so early in my career, I had to really work on that piece of it. But I feel like that's huge, and really being reflective and understanding, the needs of your teachers, the needs of your students, the needs of your educational community. You have to be able to reflect. You can't just make a decision now and then wave a magic wand and expect that that's going to work out well. Yeah. So sometimes it just takes time to think, and it's okay. It's okay to take your time to do that. Yeah. And I think sometimes in society, especially with digital media and, social media and everything else, everything's at your fingertips. So you want that immediate instead of let's take some time, let's digest this, let's really think through this before we get in and make a decision.
Yeah, I feel like that definitely, both those, what you just talked about, definitely plays into your accomplishments, like we talked about in the beginning, is you talking about not being complacent and, thinking or believing that change is good. I feel like that definitely ties into all the accomplishments you've had at St. Gen, willing to change traditions and not just sticking to the old school or how this high school was, a long time ago, changing some things and making it for the better for the kids and the district.
Yeah, and I think that's, at essence, that's a huge part of who I am and what I want to do. Like, graduation's always going to be there. That's a tradition. Yeah. That's never going away. I know that. But what can we do to continue to elevate it, to continue to create that special moment for our students and for our faculty and staff? I remember walking as a high school teacher. I remember walking in graduation and being a part of that. It was the culminating moment for me. It's a culminating moment for a student going through, but it's the moment every year that I looked forward to, because it was the culminating moment for our students. Oh, yeah. And I think so really accentuating that and highlighting that and figuring out ways that we can continue to elevate that, because that's a tradition that's not going anywhere. We know that. The Dan Clark Honors Banquet is a tradition that's not going anywhere. We moved it back to campus this year and had it over in the Performing Arts Center. And I know we did that during COVID, but we didn't have a meal. So this year we brought it back, had a meal, and did the honors ceremony out in the pack. It was a change.
Yeah, we
took a chance to do something a little different, and that tradition is there. But what are ways that we can continue to elevate those traditions that we know are going to be there? Graduation's not going anywhere. Dan Clark isn't going anywhere. My hope is that the Dragons with Distinction doesn't go anywhere. And so those are staples that we've got within our school. And so it's just figuring out how can we make those small little adjustments to continue to elevate it and continue to create those special moments for kids.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How do you plan to make a positive impact across the whole district?
I think a big part of that is just believing in people and, taking the time to intentionally have those conversations, to taking the time to let people know how much you appreciate the great work that they're doing, whether that's students, whether that's kids, whether that's students, whether that's adults. You just have to find a way to get in and appreciate what's happening and what's going on within our school. I've had an opportunity to work in other places, and St. Gen R2 is special. And, I'm a product of the school. I went to school from kindergarten all the way through graduation. And I think that for me, that creates a very unique lens that I've been able to see things, I feel like in a very unique light. And I feel like because of that, I'm excited to be able to just take that to the entire district and take that gratitude, take that appreciation, take that ability to be able to positively impact hopefully all students within our district and see the way that oftentimes the teacher hire or the coach hire, those are the people that make a difference in the lives of young people. Like, that's the reality. And so figuring out who those right people are, getting them in the right seats on the bus, and I won't necessarily be the one that's hiring them, but I have a responsibility to support those administrators now that are hiring those teachers, and having that belief and having that trust in them to put the right people in the right seats to then be able to build those positive relationships with young people to hopefully make a positive impact on them, not only while they're here, but also throughout their life.
Yeah, and that, that definitely is a great recipe just to have an awesome district and make this place even better. Just an improvement overall, I would say. So, speaking of what your plan is to make this place even better, what would you say are your first steps here? What would you want to do first as the assistant superintendent to make this place better? So
part of what I'm doing right now is actually doing some things to prepare for next school year. So I've been spending some time getting in and taking a look at some of the documents and some of the things that we have in place right now that I will be responsible for overseeing. And I feel like a big part of what I'm doing right now is just doing research. Like, I'm just trying to understand and learn. And I feel like that's going to be a lot of this first year, is just understanding where we're at right now and continuing a lot of that tradition of excellence and identifying what are some of those things that we can do to think outside the box, to do things a little bit differently that might better serve our school community here. And, I've worked a lot with legislators. I've worked a lot with just the State Principals Association. And a big part of what I feel like is an element that we've worked really hard to try to do is figure out, what we need here within our school community looks very different than what Farmington or North County or Park Hills needs within their school community. And that looks way different than if you go up to St. Louis and you go to the city. Every school has their own unique community. Every school has their own group of students. And so I feel like it's our responsibility to figure out, what do we need? And then how can we best serve our teachers? How can we best serve our students? And that local control piece for me is so valuable and so important, because who knows what you need? We know what we need. And so whenever other entities start jumping in and start making those decisions for school districts, it makes it a little bit more difficult for us to be able to serve our school community the way that it needs to be served. Who better to know the community than individuals that have been here for their entire life? Like, they know what the community, they know what the expectations are. They know what the community wants out of the school and wants out of, when a student graduates from here. We have a good understanding of what the expectation is that student can do when they walk out of our doors.
So you're talking about, like, doing your research and looking at what other schools do. Are there ever any times where our school looks at, maybe some close by schools or schools just in this state, that you kind of like the ideas that they have or ways they do things, and take that and put it into our school?
Absolutely. One of the things that I've been so lucky to be a part of, I've been a member of the State Principals Association since I've been at the high school, and then I've actually served on the board of directors. And currently, right now, I'm the president-elect. So it's allowed me to have so many connections. And I'm going to tell you right now, there's some of the brightest leaders across the state of Missouri that I get a chance to interact with and engage with multiple times a year. And I can pick up the phone and call them and say, hey, I've got this going on. What do you think? And that has been so reassuring, but also the ideas that come from that too. They're able to share ideas that they're doing within their schools. And then we're able to steal some of those ideas and bring them back here, or tweak them, or be like, hey, what if this? This wouldn't work here for us. But what do you guys think about this? And being able to do that, I've been really proud of the work that our principals advisory group has done in going and touring other schools, and then bringing some of those ideas back to SGHS. And so it's continuing to figure out ways that we can elevate that and do that, not only at the building level, but also at the district level as well. And so just honing in on those opportunities and taking a look at, how can we continue to empower those opportunities for our students and our school community to continue to grow and continue to get better.
Yeah, I feel like that helps a lot towards just having the ability to go and look at other schools, and seeing what they're doing, and you can take things that they do and put it in here, and it just overall just helps you be able to build our district, our high school especially. I just think that's such a big help for you, I would say.
For sure. And I think another big part of that is just the opportunity to have an appreciation for how good it is here too. How amazing our teachers are, and the great work that they do every single day. But our students are able to come back from that after those visits and truly have a great appreciation, because if this is all you've ever known, you don't know anything else. So then when you walk into another school, you're like, we do that just as well, maybe even a little bit better. And you don't know that unless you step foot in those other places. And so that's something that I'm very proud of, that our students have had the opportunity and the ability to be able to go to other places and see things done in a different way, and come back here and either bring back ideas or just bring back the idea that this place is pretty stinking good.
What is one thing students may not know about you?
I think a lot of students know that I run. I mean, I don't think that that's any secret. I don't know how many students know how much I run. And so I typically run between 60 and 70 miles a week, which some of our students probably don't drive that much.
It's a lot.
And for me, a lot of it, when I first started, obviously I competed all throughout high school. I competed when I was in college, and I think a lot of it initially was that competition piece. But now it's my outlet. So it's my ability to be able to clear my mind. I go out and run every morning. I usually run for about an hour each morning, and it gives me just an opportunity to clear my mind and think about things that are coming up that day. And so I can kind of plan out the day, have a clear mind going into the day. And then I usually go out and just run for 15 minutes after school. And that's my opportunity just to decompress and be able to get in that good state before I walk into the door at home. So really it's my mental health. And so that's why I do it now. And so I don't think a lot of people know how much. I think they know that I run, but I don't think they know how much I run. And it's neat to watch the evolution of that, because early on, it was all about the competition. I was always training for something, and now I'm just taking care of myself. And so I think that's, I don't know, probably something that a lot of people don't realize how much that actually is.
I mean, I feel like a lot of people definitely know you run, because, I see you all the time running it, whether it's at, the local YMCA or it's just at school. We'll see you running laps around. But I will say, nobody knows how much you run. And if I had to guess, it would have been a lot, but that's cool to know.
Yeah. I'm sure there's a lot of people that don't drive that much.
Oh, no. I know I don't. So, and then I got one last thing for you. What is a message you want to leave with the students and staff as you move on?
I think a big part for me is I just want them to know how proud I am of the work that they continue to do and how we've continued to just grow and create some amazing opportunities here at the high school. And I challenge all of them to continue that growth mindset and that ability to be able to continue to figure out ways that we can continue to do things and think about things in a different light. And so I think part of it is a challenge, but also part of it is how much I appreciate everybody believing in me too. When I first started in this path, I was 33 years old when I became the high school principal. And I'm sure there were a lot of individuals that looked at that and they're like, he's 33 years old. How in the world is he able to jump in and run a building? And there were people that just jumped right in immediately and believed in my abilities to be able to do it. And that trust was huge. And that trust was huge for our ability to be able to do things. And I know at times, sometimes I'll come up and say something or do something and everybody will kind of look at me like, are we really doing this? Is that the direction that we're going? But it always had a reason. It always had a purpose. And I think that trust in me was huge. This place is always going to be home to me. And like you said earlier, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to continue to be in the district. But I don't want to be anywhere else other than in green and white. And it's meant so much to me. The students mean so much to me. We've been able to do some really amazing things. I've had an opportunity to graduate. This will be my fifth year of leading the graduation ceremony. And every year it hits home, like how special my job is and how special of a task I have of not only leading in high school, but also getting an opportunity to do it with some amazing kids and some amazing faculty and staff members. And there's an element to that I'm never going to forget that. I'm never going to forget the relationships that I have with our faculty and staff, and just the ability to be able to continue to grow those relationships and continue to believe in our kids, just in a different seat and in a different role. But it's continuing to believe in our kids that they can do amazing things, and we have a responsibility to continue to provide them with the best opportunities possible to set them up for success well after this. And so I'm so lucky. I'm so lucky to have done this job for the last 5 years, and the 3 years before that as assistant principal, and the 7 years before that as a classroom teacher. Like I couldn't imagine being in a better place, being in a better district, having an opportunity to do things the way that we've been able to do it, and having people that just surround me and trust me means the world to me. And this place is, like I said, will forever be home, and is where I want my kids to go to school, and it is where I want to retire and end my career as a St. Genevieve Dragon. And I'm just proud of what we've been able to do, and I challenge the faculty and staff to continue to hold to that. I challenge Dr. Klein to hold to that level of excellence, and just continue to strive to be better tomorrow than we were today. And if SGHS continues to do that, I'm really excited to see what the future has in store for it.
It's awesome. I feel like St. Genevieve High School has been really blessed to have you as their principal for the last 5 years, and I think we're all super excited to see what you can do here on your new role. And thank you for joining me here today. Yeah,
I really appreciate the opportunity to come and talk, but more importantly, I appreciate the kind words and just the opportunity to be able to spend some time with you too. These are the highlights. Like, these are the moments for me where it's just like I get to step out of my office and come into a situation and be able to interact and engage with a student one-on-one with. There's nobody in the room. Nobody else can see this, but there's nobody in the room right now. So there's no distractions for Broden and I. It's just him and I just getting to chat. And for me, that's why I do what I do, is to be able to build those relationships and make those connections with young people and get to do things like this. And that's what makes my job so rewarding. And my hope is that stepping into that next role, I'll be able to do things like this just in a different light. And it will be throughout the district, but being able to see things from a different lens. And I'm really excited about that piece. But like I said, these are the moments that mean so much to me.
Well, I'm glad I got to do it with you.
Me too.
All right. Yeah, like I said, thank you for joining me here today. And best of luck to you with your new role as assistant superintendent. That's a wrap for this week's podcast. Thank you for listening and tuning in. If you want to hear more, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Also, be sure to go check out our one-stop shop website for future sporting events, rosters, blogs, sponsors, and live broadcasts. To get there, just look up sghssportstream.com.